The SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com. First on The Fan, the Trailblazers have now won 5 of 6 after a win in Philadelphia last night. They're now on their way to Boston, where they'll face the Celtics tomorrow night. Portland now 28-34 on the season, 4 games out of the final play-in spot with 20 to go. ESPN Shams Charania reporting Mavericks guard Kyrie Irving suffered a torn ACL in last night's loss to the Kings and is out for the rest of the season. Magic guard Jalen Suggs will also miss the rest of the season after having surgery today to remove a cartilage fragment from his left knee. On the college hard court, Oregon men's hoops entering the final week of the regular season, hosting Indiana. 6 o'clock tip on FS1. Coverage right here on The Fan starts at 5:30 after an abbreviated primetime. The Ducks are 6.5-point favorites. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Eagles and Saquon Barkley have agreed to a 2-year, $41.2 million extension that makes him the highest paid running back in NFL history. $36 million guaranteed, and Barkley can earn an additional $15 million more in incentives and escalators. Schefter also reporting the Cowboys and defensive tackle Osa Odighizuwa, the pride of David Douglas, have agreed to a 4-year, $80 million deal with $58 million guaranteed. And ESPN's Rich Cimini reporting the Jets releasing wide receiver Davante Adams. Adam Schefter reporting the team has also granted wide receiver Allen Lazard granted permission to wide receiver Allen Lazard to seek a trade. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan. This is Danny and Dusty.
Meringatang is going to be a thing.
You're not coining anything new.
With Danny Meringue and Dusty, the Fan Man Hera.
I'll throw some monkey sounds in there and call it good.
The old Danny Meringue pie.
Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and 1080.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome.
The Fan.
Good afternoon! Hey, welcome in. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Danny and Dusty with you. How's everybody's Tuesday going? A little bit of rain in the area. Feeling more like spring.
Very, very smarchy.
Yeah, we're okay with that. All right, it's fine. Spring training is on television. That gives me weird feelings when baseball comes back because I'm never ready for it. I'm never ready for baseball to be on TV all the time, but it's very soothing to me because I always feel like, all right, well, now it's going to be light out longer. That's what baseball means. Baseball on my TV tells me light will last longer now. And we have Spring Forward on Sunday. Spring Forward Sunday.
This weekend?
It's this weekend. Can anybody answer this?
Yes,
either here or on the text line? What happened to the not having time changes anymore?
I think that
someone somewhere is a coward.
Well, the last I heard, I think the plan is to spring forward this spring and then stop.
I don't believe it. I feel like we've been saying this for a while.
Since about 1998?
Yeah, I feel like we've been saying this for a very long time, that we're done with the spring forward fall back thing. But I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's too simple. That's the problem.
That's on... No. It's actually not a great idea to do.
Go on.
Because...
I have my thoughts, too.
You'll have some more sunshine, or you'll have more daylight in the winter, but, the sun won't come up until 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, that's my thing. I don't want to be taking my kid out to the bus stop when it's still dark.
And then I think it means our days won't last as long in the summer. We won't have as much sunshine later in the summer.
Well,
so
the summertime will be the same like it was every year when we do daylight savings time. But yeah, because it'll be the same as it always was, same as it ever was.
But I don't think
where it's going to affect us is in the wintertime.
I don't want
mornings.
I don't want wintertime sun coming up at 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, because it's also going to be what you're going to be. Well, I guess in the afternoons you're technically the clock will be an hour later. So instead of getting dark at 4:30, it'll be 5:30.
Here's a question for everybody out there. Is it really that bad of an inconvenience to you?
I feel like the whole conversation is kind of overblown. Like, it's not a big deal.
It's only bad for like 3 days.
3 days?
Yeah.
1 hour affects you for 3 days?
Sleep cycle, buddy. Come on now.
You don't have one.
Come on.
Says the guy who stays up till 2, 3 o'clock every night.
Yeah. So if all of a sudden, if I'm up until 2 o'clock in the morning and now you're taking another hour away from me, yeah, it takes me a little while. It's tough.
The internal body clock is affected a little bit, for sure.
Yeah, I don't. It affects you on that Sunday,
Yeah.
and that's it. That's the only. It's the only time.
Well, and unless, if you're a Monday through Friday type worker person, it doesn't really do that much to you, I don't feel like. But, like I remember back in the days when I was working in restaurants and bars and such, and all of a sudden, yeah, that spring forward Sunday morning when I had to go open the bar at 10 o'clock, that came a lot faster.
It does. Now, that one day, it gets you for that one day, and then you're going to be okay. Like, you'll be fine.
No, I was scarred for life.
The one thing that is a nuisance, and we need to do, like, how are we not here? It's the year 2025. How do our appliances not automatically update the time? That's the only thing.
If you've got the always on or Internet of Things, they will. But if they're just regular, old plug-in appliances,
yeah,
they
or
won't.
like your car. My car doesn't automatically update the clock. I
have to go to the settings and check the little box if it's daylight savings or not.
But it's only like I have to, but even that, I can't complain about that anymore because I just go to clock and then forward or back an hour, clock.
I will say they have made changing the car clock a very simple task now. It used to require an advanced science degree.
It really did. Like, you'd have to hold like 2 buttons and then be pushing with the other one.
Yeah, it would only go one way, so if you missed it,
and then you went too far, you're like, damn it, now I got to go all the way around again.
Yeah. 23 times.
Yeah, see? So I feel like we're still just arguing like it's 1993. And we really shouldn't because our phones automatically update.
Mm-hmm.
That's that right there. We're easy street.
Yeah.
We're in.
Literally in my car, it's like 3 button presses.
But the other inconvenience I have is I have to go and change on our oven and our microwave the time. Other than that, we're fine. We're fine.
My main gripe on the oven and microwave clocks, somehow one of them moves at a different pace.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Is a minute not a minute? Yeah, for crying out loud?
I have that same problem with our oven. Our oven and our microwave are stacked on top of each other. And the oven, like every 2 or 3 months, it's like 2 minutes ahead.
Yeah.
And I'm going, how did this happen?
I'm aggro when I go to change those clocks too, because I pull out my phone and I go to real time and watch that sucker count down to the second, and then that's when I hit the clock button to set it, and then I'll wait another full minute to change the microwave after the oven.
I just realized I don't have a clock on my microwave, and I appreciate that. I just have the clock on the oven.
You don't wait. You don't have
blank?
a microwave. What do you have?
No, it just doesn't have it doesn't have a live clock.
Is it a dial?
No, it's a regular microwave.
From 1983?
It just doesn't have a clock on it.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't. When it's not on, it's blank.
I kind of like that.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about that. I kind of
like that.
I don't actually have anything.
I'm not sure that means that it doesn't have a clock function.
Well,
I think you perhaps just have to set it.
Well, that's fine.
That's fine. Oh, I love it.
I would be okay with not having one.
I don't need 4 clocks in my kitchen.
It's nice to have one.
Yeah, no, I have one.
It's nice to have one.
The stovetop has one.
It's nice to have one. Other than that,
I'm good.
I'm good without them. Yeah.
My wife, when we first moved in the house, was hanging quite a few clocks, and I'm like, do we need this many clocks?
Yeah.
We have phones.
Clocks are more of
Decorative.
a art piece. Yeah. They're an art piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I am neither artsy nor decorative.
Speaking of...
Get out.
Speaking of art, I wanted to run this by the people. I saw this on social media today. There's an artist who goes by the name Pie Girl who makes hundreds of dollars for chaining men up and smashing them in the face with pies. We're calling that art now? That's art? That used to be like a kink.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a fetish.
That's a fetish.
yeah, that's not art. That's a fetish.
But she is claiming, no, I'm an artist. Don't put me in the sex industry. I am. This is not.
How about a performance artist? Is that fair?
No, because that's dumb too.
Well, yeah.
We have gone.
But I feel like that's closer.
Like art. What's it called? Art. What's that one down in Miami? Art. Oh, something. Boom. Where they put up. They have like all the art installations, and somebody duct taped a banana to the wall as a joke, and people were like, "Oh, look at that! That's beautiful." And it was a joke.
It sold for millions, though, didn't it?
I think it did.
Yeah,
it did.
because
they're
people
all
are dumb.
no, it's not just that. It's just that world is so pretentious.
Sure is.
It's like the whole idea of high-end art is so absolutely crazy to me. I think I mentioned before
High-end art and fashion.
My mother-in-law has got a art degree. I want to say from the University of Chicago. That's a big art school out there. And she has pieces that are, I mean, not like millions of dollars, but quite expensive. And I've been to a couple of the shows, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, I could never do something like that. But I hear the people that are around me talking about it, and there's not a bridge tall enough for me to jump off of.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh God, really? That's what you're thinking, huh? Okay. Cool. Like that stuff to me, look, art is in the eye of the beholder and all that kind of stuff, but like, well, I wonder what, they were thinking in this moment. I bet you it really pulls at the visual.
No, it doesn't.
And it's like, no, dude. Just thought it looked cool. I genuinely wish we could go back in time and talk to like, the most important artists over like the last like 400 years and just be like, hey man, what were you thinking? He's like, I found these mushrooms and I got really high. And that's how we came up with cubism.
Monet, what were you doing? I licked a toad.
Yeah.
That's how we got there.
Yeah. One of them had,
all right, cool.
One of them had like a severe case of syphilis and took a lot of drugs. So there's Monet and Monet.
Drugs.
And one of them didn't have an ear.
That is, oh boy.
Van Gogh.
Van Gogh. Yeah. See, there you go.
Because he got dumped.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So like, again, I would imagine that there's probably some more unstable things in their lives happening than like, here's the pain I'm going to paint using these certain colors.
Yeah. You should have tried going to school in Ashland because
oh yeah, no.
You want to talk about some of those conversations.
I'm out.
Sometimes you'd be in a mood and you just jump in. You'd be like, "Yep, I'm here."
This quantifies exactly what I'm feeling in the fan text line. I truly get what the artist is feeling as they were strung out on heroin, feeling absolutely nothing. Ding! That's it.
That's
Look,
it.
I am a huge proponent of like my favorite singers and musicians, almost all dead. And the best music they ever made was when they were on all of the drugs, feeling all of the pain.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, all the Beatles' good stuff was the later days when they were all hopped up
Look,
on.
perfect case in point. Metallica right now. Metallica right now is not good. Metallica, when they were doing a lot of drugs and a lot of alcohol, really good.
Okay. All right.
I'm just saying,
Of course, that is also how they
what?
lost one of their guitarists or drummer or something.
Yeah, listen, it happens, man.
The one that I don't get is when they're like, "Oh, you just don't understand their genius." It's like, yeah, I do. They're a dumbass. That's what that genius is.
Yeah, fast forward and it actually shows the guy and he's sitting there with his eyes bulging out of his skull, staring into the sun. You're just like, no, man, that's a lot of meth.
No, that dude's licking his teeth a lot.
Not a lot of genius there.
Yeah. Pie artist. If we have some textures that are intrigued, just go ahead and Google like a pie artist and you can pay a couple $100 and get smashed with a pie in the name of art and whatever else you're looking for in that experience.
Or I could just go down to the Center of Quality Foods and buy one myself and hand it to my wife and say, smash me in the face.
Careful with that.
It's called OnlyFans.
Yeah.
That's what you can do at home, my friend. Yeah. Make hundreds. All right. Well, we're solving the world's problems. Maybe we should put a poll up. Do we overreact to daylight savings? Because I feel like we are. We are overreacting to daylight savings. Let's just continue to save the daylight.
That's the most Portland thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Save the daylight.
You got to save the daylight, bro.
My clocks won't
and
change.
the whales.
And the rainforest.
Yes.
We have stopped saving the rainforest, and that is a problem.
Because we keep finding like new temples of doom hidden in the foliage in the Amazon.
Yeah, just leave it alone.
Cool. We need more Indiana Jones
Leave
movies.
the ghosts alone.
It's like
we're fine.
There's another 500-foot tall pyramid in there. How did that get there?
Don't worry about that.
I guess I should amend that. We need more Indiana Jones movies that don't involve Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, what'd he do?
He ruined that one
Did you know that
Indiana
guy-
Jones movie.
Speaking of drugs.
Yeah. Did you know that guy literally ripped his tooth out for that movie Fury? He apparently Shia's like a full-on method actor.
Yeah, I can see that.
He ripped a tooth out because it said it made him look a certain way. He didn't take a shower for 8 months to try to get into the
Right, yeah, that's normal.
And I'm sure those guys that were in the tank with him were just thrilled about that. He smelled like a Frenchman.
Well,
yes, I took shots at you, France. You
That's-
stink. I've been on your buses and trains. You take a shower and use deodorant.
maybe there's somebody who's into it, like the pie people.
Oh no, there's people into all kinds
Yeah,
of weird stuff,
there's
man.
people into that.
Well, there was a
If
reason why the Looney Tunes named that skunk Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah.
If
If you have not seen it, the movie Peanut Butter Falcon, good movie. Shia LaBeouf is in it. The Peanut Butter Falcon, that's a good movie. That's a good movie.
Peanut Butter Falcon again sounds like something you would pay for.
Yeah, it's a movie that you would pay for to go and watch in a movie theater.
Like a Pasadena mudslide.
Yeah, it's
You got to ask. You can't afford it.
It's about a young man with Down syndrome. I'm reading just the plot from Wikipedia. And he escapes from a state-run care facility with the help of his elderly roommate to train as a professional wrestler under the tutelage of his hero, Saltwater Redneck. Meanwhile, Tyler, a man fired for bringing illegal crab catches, burns the gear of his rivals, Duncan and Ratboy, and flees himself. So they're basically on the run together. And it's
Look, it's Shia LaBeouf and John Bernthal. Like,
a good movie.
Got to be at least halfway decent.
Yeah,
I mean,
the Peanut Butter Falcon,
it's
good.
95% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's a really good.
Okay.
It's a good flick.
Okay.
I recommend.
$6.2 million budget. So it's an art house film. Okay.
You can really see their genius.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? The Portland Trail Blazers win. And another impressive performance by the Young Bucks. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Trailblazers pick up another victory last night on the road, 119-102 over the Philadelphia 76ers. That team is in some trouble. Tyrese Maxey going down last night.
That's tough.
He wasn't playing well anyways.
No,
but
he had a good game 2 games ago, and then he just basically missed everything the game before he played the Blazers, and then he missed everything again.
Yep. And the Blazers win 119-102. Win that I think we're all going to take when that lineup again does it. We talked about this yesterday. The Ant, Sharp, Denny, Donovan lineup has played sparingly together this year.
Mm-hmm.
They played really damn well again last night.
That 4-man grouping of Ant, Denny, Donovan is in the 99th percentile in difference, the 100th percentile in defensive points allowed per 100, of the 100th percentile in effective field goal percentage allowed. Like, there's some markers there that you go, oh.
Yeah.
Because, again, those 4 guys have played together for 300 possessions. So, and that's per cleaning the glass, which is a little bit different than minutes. I tend to skew more towards the possessions just because there's more context added that's allowed in that. But you're starting to see it really come together for basically everyone. Ant has the 14-point third quarter, just goes Inferno, and the game was basically over at that point in time. He'd scored 12 points in under 4 minutes. Is that good?
That's good.
That's pretty good, right?
That's good.
But after that, I mean, the game was pretty much in hand at that point, despite the 76ers being up at the half. When you go when you have a 35-point quarter to a 20-point quarter, hell, the 76ers scored 41 second-half points. The Blazers scored 35 in just the third quarter.
Yeah. One thing that is increasingly sticking out is, look, we talked about this yesterday. With Jeremy Grant out of the lineup, Jeremy Grant is having one of the worst seasons of his career. And
since he figured it out, yes, because his first couple years in the league, he played on those process Sixers, and he was not an offensive player.
one of the worst years of his career. They look way more comfortable without him on the floor.
Yes, I would agree.
And at that point,
particularly
how long,
offensively,
because he takes shots, he gets shots. And that's just the way the NBA is. The vets who have the big contracts, that's the pecking order.
It's not just that. They trust him to create the shot consistently, whether or not it goes in.
They really look better without that. And that it's becoming more and more apparent in how long does the knee tendonitis continue for Jeremy Grant is now a question that a lot of Blazer fans are asking because they do look better at this point in the season.
I wouldn't be surprised if he was shut down.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
And at this point in the season,
there's 20 games left. That's it.
You're looking at that group, that core is you have we talked about this yesterday. 2, Denny, Donovan, those 3, those guys are going to be guys. Then you go, all right, where's Shaedon Sharpe, Scoot Henderson in the long-term future of this organization? You know, how do you look at that? If a majority of those guys are on the floor together, you'll take the wins, losses, or whatever happens, just like last night. You didn't see the griping because it was the young guys that were carrying it. Now, Anthony Simons went absolutely bonkers. 34 points, ridiculously efficient, shooting 50% from the field. But it's the young guys, their development, their growth. That's what you wanted to see through this year. And if you get a blowout win with those guys, you take that.
This is one of my favorite games from Shaedon Sharpe this year. One of my favorite games. Why? Career high in rebounds. Yeah. It's something on the Rip City wrap-up that I have been hitting for the last 2 weeks. Shaedon Sharpe, I know you can score. What else can you do? How else can you use your athleticism? Offensive rebounds, 3 last night. 11 total rebounds, 5 assists. Being involved, I mean, he got an offensive rebound, came down flat-footed with Andre Drummond, who's 6'11" and probably 285, 290 pounds, and still has some real juice. And he flat-footed jumped and packed it on his head. And I go, that's it. That's it, dude. That's what everybody wants to see from you.
His run of consistency is continuing.
Yes.
And it is now you're starting to see things click where even, you know, and it wasn't a thing where he didn't it wasn't awe-inspiring offensive performance. Still really damn good.
I mean, he's 7 of 10 from 2. That's the thing is he's 1 of 7 from 3. He hits 2 threes, and all of a sudden this game's a 26-11-5 game, and you're going, damn.
But make your imprint, make your impact any way you can, and he did. I thought we saw the same thing in a completely different vein from Scoot Henderson too.
Yes.
Like Scoot did not shoot well, but he found a way to be productive, as whether it be a facilitator or just we saw these games before where if Scoot's shot wasn't falling, he was an absolute utter liability on the floor.
Yes.
And you're starting to see that is growth, that's progress. Not every game of 82 is going to be a guy shooting the lights out.
No.
That's not the NBA, especially because we highlight this all the time. This team lacks a star, right?
Look, again,
That's
the
it.
The whole ball going hoop thing, Scoot was 0 of 4 from 3. He hits a couple threes last night, and he has a very nice night. And that's you can't control the ball going in the hoop night in, night out. Now, the name of the game is consistency. And you want to see that, but some nights you don't have it. And on a back-to-back where you went into overtime against the best team in basketball, and you get in there and you look, that first half, there were some tired legs. There was some, God, we're playing this team. We're on Philadelphia.
They don't want to win.
We're like,
they know they don't want to win.
It's game 5 of a 7-game road trip, and we're going to go from here to Boston to OKC, and you're like, you allow yourself to maybe get caught up in a little bit of that. They come out in the third quarter and they handle business. I thought Donovan Clingan got punked in the first half by Andre Drummond, and then he came back out and said, you know what, I'm not going to get punked. Early in the third quarter, he turned and tried to absolutely baptize Andre Drummond.
Whoa.
And it was like, hey, there you go, big fella.
And when he was getting punked, he didn't just pick up a run of fouls.
No, and I think that's part of the reason he got punked. Was I think he was playing back a little bit. Like, I am not going to play 11 minutes tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to maybe not be quite as physical right here and put myself in trouble. And on the night, 13 points, 13 rebounds, 3 blocks. You'll take that every single night. Like, I'm sitting here talking about Donovan Clingan getting quote-unquote punked, but he had 13, and 3, where what did Drummond actually finish? Was it 25, 18? Yeah. God, he's still so good on the glass.
Well, Tumani Kamara should be noted.
Yes.
Defensive Player of the Month, Western Conference.
With Evan Mobley in the Eastern Conference, which those are 2 of probably the 8 best defenders in the entire NBA. I've got Evan Mobley right now as my number 1 for
Golf
Defensive
clap.
Player of the Year.
We'll go golf clap.
You know what that is?
Defensive Player of the Month gets you on usually an all defensive team.
That is the league crowning him. That's what that is. He's in the inner circle.
Yeah.
He like that is what that award is. Tumani Kamara is on the short list for All NBA officially. He's been stamped.
Okay.
That's what that is.
All right, we have big news out of the National Football League doing what the Giants couldn't. The Philadelphia Eagles not just win a Super Bowl, they find a way to pay Saquon Barkley. First is Russ with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Trailblazers have won 5 of 6 after a win in Philadelphia last night. They're now on to Boston, where they'll face the Celtics tomorrow night. Portland now 28-34 on the season, 4 games out of the final play-in spot with 20 games remaining. In other Blazers news, Tumani Kamara named Western Conference Defensive Player of the Month. He was the only player in the league with 80-plus rebounds, 20-plus steals, and 10-plus blocks in the month of February. Shams Charania reporting Mavericks guard Kyrie Irving suffered a torn ACL in last night's loss to the Kings and is out for the rest of the season. On the college hardcourt, Oregon men's hoops entering the final week of the regular season, hosting Indiana. 6 o'clock tip on FS1. Coverage right here on The Fan starts at 5:30 after an abbreviated primetime. The Ducks are 6.5-point favorites. And indeed, ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Eagles and Saquon Barkley have agreed to a 2-year, $41.2 million extension that makes him the highest paid running back in NFL history. $36 million guaranteed, and Barkley can earn $15 million more in incentives and escalators. And Schefter also reporting the Cowboys and defensive tackle Osa Odigizua, the pride of David Douglas, have agreed to a 4-year, $80 million deal with $58 million guaranteed. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Tired of getting dinged by subscriptions? We won't send you a bill. Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Philadelphia Eagles, fresh off a Super Bowl 59 victory, blowout fashion over the Kansas City Chiefs, have ponied up a 2-year, $41.2 million deal to keep Saquon Barkley happy in Philadelphia.
Show me the money.
$36 million of which will be guaranteed escalators built into the contract that could give him an additional $15 million if he hits his bonuses. That, my friends, is how you keep your star running back happy. Saquon Barkley becomes the first running back in NFL history to make $20 million per season. Damn.
It's mildly ironic.
Don't you think?
I do. That we were discussing whether or not Saquon Barkley was worth $13 million 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And now he's worth $21 million.
Well, you're worth what somebody's willing to pay you. And at that point, the New York Giants, they didn't have the bandwidth to even give him that $13 million, right? Mm-hmm. You go to Philadelphia, where they draft at an insane level. They have made some really tough decisions over the last couple of days with Brandeberry and Slay. Just yesterday, getting the old heave-ho to clear the deck for the young talent and to keep a star like Saquon Barkley there. I mean, this is what great front offices do when they have a championship window that's open. How much time does Saquon Barkley have? They're basically saying, hey, he's got 3 years left. Mm-hmm. And they're going to pay him what he deserves over those 3 years. And this is not going to be the last of the tough decisions that they have to make on their roster, because they've got a lot more that they need to continue to clear up to be competitive and to keep their Super Bowl window open. But they drafted so damn well over the last couple of seasons. They've afforded themselves the ability to give him $21 million
to go do this. And look,
per year.
If you're going to tell Saquon and sorry, I will sneeze there. After everything he went through with the Giants, that, hey, if you come here, we'll take care of you. We actually, appreciate you, and we'll take care of you in the back end. He goes out and he has one of the best and most productive seasons in the history of running backs in the NFL. You win the Super Bowl. And if you didn't take care of that man, that sends a pretty serious message around the league as a franchise. And we saw kind of how the Eagles are viewed.
That's more of the NFL, though.
I know. But, I mean, we saw how, despite the Eagles winning and all the good PR of how Eagles ownership is viewed, it wasn't very favorable.
No.
So it's one of those things where you get in there and you tell ownership, quit pinching pennies. You said you're going to take care of the guy. He just had one of the most successful seasons we've ever seen from the position. Take care of the freaking guy. Shut up and do it. It's to me, it's pretty simple.
Running backs around the league are rejoicing right now because of this big deal for Saquon Barkley. Let's pump the brakes on that, because he is the transcendent talent at that position, in that he is the bell cow workhorse back right now in the league. There are only 5 running backs in the NFL that make $10 million or more.
Short list.
Think of that. Only 5 that make $10 million or more.
Derrick Henry is not one of them.
He is doubling that. Yeah. He's doubling
God,
it.
Who is on the list?
$20.6 million for Saquon. Christian McCaffrey, $19 million.
Mix it on there.
Jonathan Taylor, $14 million. Alvin Kamara, $12.25 million.
Kamara getting that deal.
Josh Jacobs, $12 million.
What you just got with the Packers.
And then the next highest paid is James Conner at $9.5 million. Joe Mixon is 9th, $8.5 million. Derrick Henry is 11th at $8 million.
Yeah, he took, which is insane to me. Insane to me.
Well, it was very similar to what Saquon Barkley did, which is take less money, go to a contender. If you get to the mountaintop, you get the reward. And the reward for Saquon Barkley is the highest paid running back ever. And like anybody that watched the Eagles this year, that was the biggest difference between last year and this year, right? Where when they hit the skids, when it gets hard to play football late in the year, and they went on their losing streak last season, they didn't have the ability to run the ball like they did this year. It alleviates all of the pressure off of Jalen Hurts. You still have your weapons on the outside with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, but in Dallas Goedert too.
Yeah.
You also have the ability to run the ball and keep a team honest. And
break
his value,
big plays.
His value is obviously $20 million, but it's invaluable to the Eagles because of what they can do offensively with him.
Because of how it enables Jalen Hurts and what it does for the wide receivers and how you can use that absolute road grading offensive line. It's just it's the Voltron, it's everything coming together. It doesn't mean the whole idea of like you can stick any running back behind the line. Yeah, sure you can, and you can probably be pretty damn successful. But do you want to be pretty damn successful, or do you want to look at maybe going back to another Super Bowl?
Yeah, this is where I say all the other running backs, like I saw James Cook with the eye emojis at that deal. There's a lot of running backs that are like, all right, we're finally getting our payday. There's not a lot of Saquon Barkley's running around. He is different.
Yes.
And the guys who are truly different are going to get that payday. We mentioned there's only 5 that are over $10 million. Okay. The 15th highest paid back in the National Football League. Okay. So, or we'll go to 16, put you at middle of the road for the starters. What do you think the middle of the road starter in the NFL is making?
Middle of the road starter.
Mm-hmm.
God. 6?
5.5.
Yeah. Okay.
5.5. Devin Singletary makes $5.5 million in New York. The value of the running back position is not going to skyrocket. It's going to be
might tick up.
It is going to tick up. Well, the salary cap is ticking up.
Yeah,
but you're also the pendulum is swinging back
to running backs being more valuable.
There, look at this year's draft. There's very few of the guys that are built or of the ilk of Saquon Barkley.
It's Genty and Hampton.
Power running backs. But like even Genty, he's a little tiny little muscle.
Well, he's short. He's not tiny.
Yeah, he's just shoved. He's like a 6'4" guy shoved into a 5'8" person's body. But Saquon Barkley is size, speed,
stride,
explosiveness, quickness. He is everything.
The backwards hurdle is still one of the most insane things I've seen in an NFL game.
That's going to be a highlight that lives forever.
Oh, yeah.
That is an all-time.
It's on the NFL films. Like you throw it in there. It's like,
It's Barry Sanders going like almost
sideways,
parallel to the ground and then catching his feet and like firing down the field.
It's Ghost of the Post, which has been in like every NFL highlight since like 1967. It's just, when you have one of those all-time Roger Craig in the corner of the end zone, like it'll be in there, like in the montage that flashes up, and you're going to see Saquon Barkley jumping over a dude backwards, putting his hand on his helmet as he goes over him.
Today has got to be hell for for Giants fans.
Just salting the wound over and over again.
Not only did he have the season he had, they win the Super Bowl, and then it's like Saquon wanted to get paid.
And they paid him.
That man got paid.
Mm-hmm.
And he got paid a lot of money today.
Meanwhile, their general manager's son had it all right.
He did. He did. They couldn't draft Jaden Daniels.
No, but
should have.
Should have paid Saquon and got rid of Daniel Jones.
God, how about that for New York? You got the Jets owner's kid that's running the franchise into the ground,
and the other Giants owner's kid is actually smart.
Giants GM's kid is like, I got this figured out, and he did. And he did.
Brutal.
Big payday for Saquon Barkley. That's a lot of cash, man.
No, it's good for him, man. Look, I loved it. Like I love running backs. I've always, I'm a running back connoisseur. I love that the running back is becoming a bigger part of the game, not just monetarily, but how they're used, and they're not talking about like using them, abusing them, and discarding them like they're nothing. Like you're seeing the guys at the very top of the game get paid.
Well, as defensive linemen have gotten smaller, linebackers have gotten smaller and quicker, you got to be able to counter that. And the way to do it is plow right through them. And the Eagles did that all the way to the Super Bowl this year. Big move for them, but they're going to have some decisions that they got to make. I was reading that they could have upwards of like $60 million in cap space next year.
Good Lord. How many people are coming? I mean, who is importantly coming off?
I don't know. I think it more is their contract structure and the fact that if the cap goes up, not like this year, but if the cap keeps rising, then they're in a good spot because that's what happens when you draft really, freaking
when you draft
well.
a starting defense.
Yeah. As of right now, they haven't updated this. As of right now, before this, because of the way that his deal is structured too, it's going to take up a bunch this year and then alleviate some of it next year. They have $46 million for next year.
Good God. How can a Super Bowl contending team have that much projected cap space? That's insane.
But that's only with 41 guys on the roster. But think of those 41 that they already have locked up.
Yeah, it's the guys that matter.
Pretty damn good. That's what happens when you draft well, man. That's what happens when you draft
Super
well.
useful.
All right, 503-864-6326. That be the Vancouver Ford text line. Hey, we had drawings yesterday. They drawed it right there.
Drawed it?
They drawed it, and then they put it out for us.
Was his name Simon?
Tickle me intrigue. Danny and Dusty on the Fan. Portland Diamond Project unveiled the renderings for a stadium on the South Waterfront yesterday. Oh, boy. You want to talk about getting us all excited? The spring training on the TV, the sun was shining. They were like, yeah, we know what to do. We're going to go ahead and throw this one out. And they got me.
Look, I know everybody's talking about getting Charlie Brown. That is, if you guys haven't seen them, Bill Orm of the Oregonian has them on up on Twitter. If you go up there, he's got an article with all of the drawings. I believe PDX Diamond Projects is now they have personally released them on social media.
Yeah,
Portland
they have it on their
Project
website.
rolled it
Okay,
all
there
out.
you go. So they rolled it all out. Okay, they're stunning.
Swing,
Absolutely beyond belief stunning. A 35,000-seat stadium that faces the east, looking out at the river, over the river, at Mount Hood.
Yeah.
Right there in Zidell Park, and a retractable glass roof. I mean, it is unfreaking believable. If that came together, like, here's my belief. They released these drawings. They released this as do you want a crown jewel in the Northwest Major League Baseball? Because you could have it.
Well, this is the thing, is that I understand the people that get that Charlie Brown feeling because they came out hot. And like we've had Barrett on, and Barrett has even said, like, yeah, maybe we did go out a little bit too hot. But they wanted to generate the buzz that, no, they are here to bring Major League Baseball to Portland. They have faded into the background.
Purposefully.
But that does not mean they have not been working towards bringing Major League Baseball to Portland, or that their effort has stopped in any way, shape, or form. They have continued to work towards bringing Major League Baseball to Portland. Things like these let you know, hey, we're still here. We're still doing it. It gets people excited because you look at it and all of a sudden your mind just starts racing of how awesome that would be, right? Where they have, it's wedged right in between the Ross Island Bridge and the Tillicum Crossing, where people can take public transit right to the stadium or walk across from the east side. Driving there would not be great.
Oh, they would have to completely redo basically everything around that area.
But think of, like, my mind just goes to everything that could, like, I would love to just go and watch a baseball game in downtown Portland, right on the river, where you're going to be launching bombs into the river, right? And seeing how close that outfield wall is to the Willamette River, and just the energy that it would bring to have Major League Baseball here. I get excited for it. And look, the apprehensions, again, y'all can have them, but the people that are so negative about it, why?
Because it's more fun, or it's not more fun. It's easier to be negative.
Yeah.
Than to have the hope pulled out from underneath you.
And there's, yeah.
Right?
Instead of having something, instead of just being like, hey, that'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty
if they
dope
brought
to
it
have.
here, that would be incredible for us. It's like, never gonna happen. Really? That's what you're going with? They've gotten to a place where they have not just city, but state leadership is now starting to be aligned, and there's momentum moving forward. If you're looking at, the reporting yesterday that they were down with state leaders talking about this stuff, like, I'm here for it, man. I'm here for anybody who's trying to bring something great to the city. Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to support it, not just sit there and spit on it.
Look, there's two things I think you can do to this city that would turn, to be blunt, an economic downturn in the city around, and as bringing a baseball team and redoing the Moda Quarter or the Rose Quarter and reinvigorating the economic part of it. Like, you can say what you want about Portland, this, that, and the other. The data is the data. Portland is not in a good shape or a good place economically. They're just not.
No.
And they need a reinvigoration.
Yeah, the Albina project
Yes.
is really good for that, with Phil Knight and the $1 billion that he's putting
$1.4 billion
towards revitalizing the Albina district. These things, there are people that do want to help, and I hope that, Major League Baseball does decide to expand. Yeah. And baseball does come to Portland.
Look, I don't want to take somebody else. I don't want to take somebody else's team.
I'll take the A's from Vegas as long as we get rid of John J. Fisher too.
And the hullabaloo is that they don't. If the A's were to move here, they don't want the A's to move here with John J. Fisher. It would be a new ownership group, and that's part of that hang up.
Yeah. A lot of people say, tell us where the money's coming from. Who is the money? Make that announcement and I will believe.
Major League Baseball doesn't want that announcement out there the same way the NBA doesn't want the announcement out there, because if you go back to the NBA side of this,
I mean, there's only a few people that I would care about it being. I'd be like, ooh, no.
Chris Hansen in the Seattle case when they were trying to get the Kings out of Sacramento, he's been effectively blacklisted because he was too public and too forward-facing and talking far too much.
Yeah.
Look, it's not a secret, but the ownership group that is behind things in Seattle is the same ownership group and some additional others, of which they don't want it out there, but it's the Kraken group, plus others.
Jeff Bezos.
I don't think Bezos is going to buy that team. I think he's going to buy the team on the other coast in Boston. Yes.
From Boston.
And the Las Vegas ownership group is probably going to be Fenway Sports Group. But they were also looking at, well, do we instead buy the Celtics?
I'd want to buy the Celtics.
The Celtics are the balls.
And
why
also,
wouldn't
you're the Fenway Sports Group.
They're the balls.
You own the Red Sox. Like, controlling Boston sports would be good for you.
That wouldn't be good for them, though, because the Boston sports fans hate the Fenway Sports Group for what they're doing to the Boston Red Sox.
Being cheap. Yes. But that's also, whoever comes in and buys the Boston Celtics, it doesn't matter if it's Jeff Bezos or not, they're going to be cheap coming up next because that luxury tax bill is going to hammer them.
Yeah, they've done a great job.
Oh, they have. They're going to have to have a downturn though. Like the economics dictate it. Otherwise, you're going to have a $500 million luxury tax, and you're going to lose draft picks. Like it's not great, Bob. But the whole thing of like, look, if it got closer, like the reality was becoming more certain, you'd hear a name or names.
Yeah.
I am almost positive of that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, renderings, they got me. I loved them. They were sweet. They were awesome. We have a new Curse in Sports next on The Fan.
I'm Jeff Ju.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on The Fan, Blazers forward Toumani Camara named Western Conference Defensive Player of the Month. Camara was the only player in the league with 80-plus rebounds, 20-plus steals, and 10-plus blocks in the month of February. The Blazers have won 5 of their last 6. They face the Celtics in Boston tomorrow. ESPN Shams Charania reporting Mavericks guard Kyrie Irving suffered a torn ACL in last night's loss to the Kings and will miss the rest of the season. Oregon men's hoops entering the final week of the regular season, hosting Indiana. 6 o'clock tip on FS1. Coverage right here on The Fan starts at 5:30 after a truncated primetime. The Ducks are 6.5-point favorites. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Eagles and Saquon Barkley have agreed to a 2-year, $41.2 million extension that makes him the highest paid running back in NFL history. Schefter also reporting the Cowboys and defensive tackle Osa Odighizuwa, the pride of David Douglas, have agreed to a 4-year, $80 million deal with $58 million guaranteed, and multiple reports say the Vikings will not place the franchise tag on quarterback Sam Darnold, but they are having discussions on a short-term deal to keep him in Minneapolis. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan Merch Locker has a new black 1080 The Fan hoodie, as well as classic long and short sleeve tees. Get yours now at 1080thefan.com. Danny Meringue.
I found 2 empty bottles of a particularly decent Chateau Noir Bordeaux 57 in your rubbish.
Dusty Hera.
You went through my garbage?
This is Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app.
I find it particularly offensive that you use them to wash down an order from something called Macho Taco.
And Portland's sports leader, 1080.
I would never drink a Bordeaux with a Macho Taco.
The Fan.
It was a burrito machisimo.
Hour number 2, Danny and Dusty with you on this Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to everybody out there. Whether you're listening on 1080 AM, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, twitch.tv/1080 AM, The Fan, youtube.com/1080 AM, The Fan. What up, party people? Or podcasting, because Jeff Russ works so hard on the podcast. What's up, y'all? We have a new curse in sports. The curse of Luka Doncic. It's here. I'm starting to buy in. I am actually starting the curse of Luka Doncic. This could go the way of the Bambino, the great GOAT curse of the Chicago Cubs. We could have our next great sports curse, the Nico Harrison trade of Luka Doncic from Dallas.
This might be worse than that because those franchises still had the dying support of their fan bases.
Oh, don't go. Let's not overlook like 100-year curse here. All right. I mean, we got, was it 83, 84 year, 86 years for the Red Sox to lift the curse of the Bambino?
Look,
that's a big one. That's a big one.
But you still had diehard Red Sox fans.
Yeah.
If you're wondering what we're talking about,
in time they will have.
It's not just the trade of Luka Doncic. It is now the season-ending injury to Kyrie Irving.
No, it started before that. It started with the Anthony Davis injury,
which is probably going to keep him out for the season.
And then last night, Kyrie Irving tore his ACL.
In a non-contact injury at the end of the season, which means at best, he's back in October. At best.
Well, and then we hear ownership is saying, you know what we're going to do? We're going to raise season ticket prices by 8.61%. on standard seating and double digits for the preferred seating. So club level courtside.
13.8% was the highest that I saw.
This is fantastic.
I'm telling you, every single time everybody's like, Blazers ownership, nah, 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 nah. More often than not, that change is not good.
Well, didn't Blazers ownership trade the Star and raise ticket prices too?
Well, you had a star ask out. I think
I know.
After 10 plus years with the franchise,
I know.
I think it's a little bit different than. And look, and I love Damian Lillard. He's a top 75 player of all time. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, he's no Luka.
Luka has a legitimate chance to end as a top 5 player in the history of the game, and you traded him before his prime for pennies on the dollar.
All of this is stacking up to, if winning cures all, there's not going to be a cure anytime soon for the Dallas Mavericks.
No. And remember,
and like that is it. Like
making this move and getting Anthony Davis was like, we're going to win now.
Yep. Wrong.
Well, the only guy who can dribble, pass, and shoot is out for probably a year.
Yeah, I mean, 8 to 9 months at a minimum.
Yeah, and
at
again,
a minimum.
Kyrie's not 26; he's 32.
Yeah,
like
Blazers might make the play-in, folks. Think about that. Right now they are 10th in the Western Conference standings. The Dallas Mavericks are. They are 10th. And the Portland Trailblazers are 4 games behind them. Mm-hmm. They do not have Anthony Davis. They do not have Kyrie Irving. Everybody seems to be looking at it like we are right now. They're doomed. Mm-hmm. They are doomed at this point. And they've already lost their last 5 of their last 10 games. So,
I will say, even with that, making up 4 games
in 20
is a very difficult task.
I don't know if the bottom falls out. The bottom falls out.
It does, but you still look. The Suns, as disrespectful to the basketball gods as they are still in front of the Blazers.
Half game, yep.
Yeah,
and they've got Kevin Durant,
yes, and Devin Booker. And so
are those guys good?
Yeah, and so can they claw and scrape by? Because here's the thing: the Suns owe their pick. They don't want to fall out and hey guys, here's a great pick, Houston Rockets. Enjoy. It's not what they want to do. You don't want to do. That's a team that you're competing with. That's a rival.
Phoenix has the toughest schedule remaining in the NBA,
followed by the Kings and then the Blazers.
They got a game against. They got a game against the Cavaliers, game against the Thunder, 2 against the Celtics, 1 against the Knicks, 1 against the Lakers, 1 against the Nuggets. Blazers' third toughest schedule have almost the exact same schedule. Actually, it is the exact same schedule, except for they got 2 against the Knicks instead of just 1.
Yeah, they've got 20 total games remaining, 11 at home. They have 1 rest advantage game, but they have 3 rest disadvantage games.
You know what the Blazers do have, though? Games against the Wizards, Jazz, 2 with the Raptors, 1 with the Bulls, 1 with the Hawks, 1 with the Spurs.
And every other game is basically a team like over 600.
Yeah,
it is a very
Phoenix doesn't have any of those except for Raptors 1, Bulls 1, Spurs 1. They've got a tough schedule.
The strength of schedule by winning percent alone is 54%.
Yeah.
So basically, everyone they're playing is significantly above 50% because those teams, the teams that are that bad, are pulling that winning percentage down pretty drastically. Yeah. It is a very, very difficult schedule over the final 20. And the Blazers, that's the thing is, in another year where, or another situation, I could see the Blazers find maybe if you squint, but because the gap is 4+ and that schedule, it's like you're going to basically have to win at minimum 13 of your final 20. And that's tough. I did that's a win, that's a loss kind of a deal. And I even gave them some, and I got to 10.
Yeah, Blazers aren't doing that.
It's tough. It's incredibly tough.
No.
Because for every game that you get, you have to get also 4 additional losses.
Yeah.
From the teams in front of you. Actually 5, because you have to get over the 4.5.
So does the curse of Luka get lifted if they land the number 1 pick? Could you imagine that? What would Mavs fans do? They trade Luka because then AD gets hurt, Kyrie gets hurt, the bottom falls out. They end up winning the lottery somehow as like the with the lowest odds, and you get Cooper Flag.
Good God.
Watch the bandwagon start loading up again.
The 1% odds. Oh, God.
I actually kind of want it to happen.
That's just
There's a little piece of me that's like, yeah, let's see it. Or like, say they don't get number 1, but what if they jump up and they get number 2 or 3? And they get one of those dudes.
They get a top 4 pick.
They get one of the guys in this draft.
The basketball gods can't allow that.
Well, I know. The way that this is going right now, the curse of Luka Doncic is the Dallas Mavericks are going to be in it in a difficult way.
Oh, my God. I just ran it 4 times on Tankathon.
You got him.
The Mavs jumped up to 4th.
Huh? Huh? Like,
No way.
and then Blazer fans, if the Blazers make the play-in and get unceremoniously dumped, but the Mavericks win the lottery, dude, this city might burn down.
Oh God.
Both of those things would happen.
Good. Oh God. I don't want to think about that.
Both things would happen.
But the insane thing is, like,
Bandwagon full, city burns down.
Going back to the Mavericks, I can't. This is a thing that is going to be taught in like sports business and sports or in journalism and everything else, as far as like the worst PR case I think I've ever seen. Because remember, it's the Adelson family, the gambling magnates of Las Vegas that bought the Dallas Mavericks, and their push is to try to get statewide gambling legalized in Texas. You know what you need in order for that to happen? Voter support. Do you think that trading away Luka Doncic, having Kyrie Irving tear his knee, having Anthony Davis being fragile as glass, and then raising ticket prices 9%, do you think that is going to get public support on your side?
No.
If anything else, you should have lowered ticket prices, taken an economic hit, and been like, look, we are here for the long haul. We do care. And yes, we do want to make gambling legal in Texas, and we want to build a new arena and a casino right alongside it. Help us.
Didn't the Adelson family buy a newspaper in the Vegas
in Vegas, yeah,
the Vegas Review,
yes,
to make sure they got positive pub?
Yeah,
I mean, maybe just buy all of them in Dallas.
Did Dallas Morning News? Yeah, good luck with that. I mean, Jerry Jones did basically threaten a guy on the radio for calling him out on a radio station that he basically owns.
That's right. That's right.
So
it could happen.
Do you think Jerry's just out here like, how dare you out basket case me?
Well, the most happy people about this should be the Dallas Cowboys ownership right now, because Jerry Jones, we didn't talk about this, but Jerry Jones is actually kind of Homer Simpsoning this thing and going back into the bushes right now. He didn't do a press conference at the Combine.
Oh my God, you're right.
He didn't do one.
Smiles and glory holes.
Did Stephen Jones?
No.
Wow.
He did a couple of interviews, but the big Jerry Jones press conference that he just talks to the gaggles of reporters, he didn't do it. So maybe the awareness is growing on the Cowboys front because of how dysfunctional the Mavericks are right now.
I just clicked through the Tankathon a few more times.
They won it?
No, the Phoenix Suns did, giving Cooper Flag to the Houston Rockets.
Oh, boy.
There are some dark paths. There are some dark paths that could happen here. You throw Cooper Flag on a team with Amen Thompson.
Yeah, pretty good, dude.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. Well, for the Blazers, they may be the beneficiaries of this by making the plan. That would also send a draft pick to Chicago if that happens. You know? That Neil O'Shea pick will finally free up everything else.
It's not making the play-in. They would have to make the actual playoffs.
Oh, really?
Yes.
God, can we just make it for the play-in?
No, because they would have to get into the final 8.
Oh, golly.
Because if they make the play-in and they get bounced in the first round, let's say they make the 10 seed because you got to win 2 games to get in, you would need to win both games in order to get into the top 8, which would take you out of the lottery. Getting into the play-in would just drive the pick further back.
Nuts.
Depending on where you end up falling in the seeding.
Well, let's make the play-in, then get Cooper Flag. How about that?
I mean, with that, at the 14th? At the either the 0.5 or the 1?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
That would be the basketball gods righting a lot of wrongs.
No?
I'd be all for it.
Sure. All right, it's official. Sam Darnold, not franchise tag. Next on the Fan. The Minnesota Vikings opted not to franchise tag Sam Darnold. All the newsbreakers in the NFL are reporting that.
Raider.
We got a little two-pronger here on why the Vikings opted for that. Actually, maybe three prongs. The first one being, obviously, the health of J.J. McCarthy, who had a year to sit, learn with his meniscus injury that held him out for the year. But importantly, as it pertains to Sam Darnold, is that when they brought him in, there was an agreement that they brought him in for $10 million to bet on himself, and they said, we're going to let that market dictate. You do right by us, we'll do right by you. And he played really damn well for all but about 3 games.
For 14 weeks.
And the last 2 are the lasting impression, where
unfortunately
they played 2 really good teams, and he looked really bad against them. The Lions and the Rams, those games were awful.
Lopsided.
They were awful performances. But that may lead to the other prong of $40.2 million for Sam Darnold. They don't want to be in the $40 million Sam Darnold game. They would much rather be in the, hey, let's be in a position where we can put the best talent around a guy like Sam Darnold. And the way you do that is having him on a cheaper deal. And look, that's the reality. And this is going to be the interesting thing, is that Darnold can go on the market and shop himself a la Matthew Stafford, and then maybe go and talk to teams and realize, I may not be getting all of the money that I want, but the situation may be better for him to be in Minnesota, or the Raiders are going to give him everything he wants.
I don't think the Raiders are going to give him everything he wants, but I think if they look around the market and they decide to go down that path, they're just going to give him just a little bit more and maybe a couple more years. Because if I look at the Vikings, are you looking at that and giving anything more than 2 years? At most,
if you're the Vikings,
yeah, it's probably a 2 with an option.
No, yeah,
at most. Where the Raiders, I could see them giving him 2 guaranteed years.
He is, and this is the thing about Sam Darnold. He's only 27 years old.
Yeah, he's young.
He is still very young, and he's got a lot of football that is still ahead of him.
He's a replacement level quarterback,
and that is the thing, is that you hope that the awareness of the Raiders is he's not that guy that is going to be carrying us.
No.
He is going to be a guy that, in the right situation with the right team, can be successful, which is what we saw this past year. And he was really damn good. You saw exactly why he was so highly regarded coming out of USC.
And if you're the Raiders, because that's like the Giants have kind of kicked that can, but I don't think they're going to go anywhere near that. Just the New York stuff in general.
They're going to trade up.
Yeah. If any other team is going to sign Sam Darnold, it's going to be the Raiders. And the way that I look at this, and I'm not like pounding the drum. My personal preference as Raider fan is to try to land Jackson Dart in the second round. That's ultimately where I land. I'm not looking at Shedeur.
You're still gonna have to have a quarterback for this year.
Yeah.
You could sign Sam Darnold, draft Jackson Dart too. You can have them both.
Yeah.
Bud.
In which case it's fine, because where do the Raiders sit in salary cap? Only the
number 2.
Only the Patriots have more. They have a crap ton of money to play with.
And if there's one thing that we've learned, it's that the team that spends the most money in free agency has the best year. See, the Titans.
Yeah.
No,
and again, but they don't need to go spend that money like crazy.
Yeah.
But if you spend it smartly and you set a stable framework, and the hope with the Raiders is, with a new head coach, a new general manager, look, Telesco, I thought, had an incredible draft last year. He took the best player available with Brock Bowers. He took 5 starters out of that draft. The Raiders have had functionality basically everywhere on the field but quarterback. Now, wide receiver, running back, the 2 skill spots, which is a scary proposition when you're talking about bringing in Sam Darnold. But if you spend a little bit of money and get some patchwork, decent wide receivers, you get a patchwork running back, and you get a stopgap quarterback, and you spend the draft nailing your picks, and you get stability everywhere else. I'm not expecting them to be the team that goes from worst to first or something like that in the division. It happens across the NFL, but I don't expect that from them. That's 2 years away. But spend the next 2 years drafting and doing everything else you need to do, and then hope and pray that you land a spot somewhere down the road where you can get the quarterback and have everything else ready to go.
Yep. Yeah, you just hope. You just sit there and hope. In other quarterback news, Ian Rappaport apparently today reported that it is increasingly more likely that Justin Fields is a starter in Pittsburgh than Russell Wilson.
I don't understand how you come to that conclusion. I do, because it's the Steelers and they just can't figure out that position.
Well, they went 4-2.
Yeah, but how good was Fields in those games?
He wasn't great. Russell Wilson wasn't great either.
That's what I mean. It's like, to me, that's the team that should be looking at Sam Darnold.
Take the younger guy. Their cap situation for this year, Pittsburgh has $60 million.
They have space.
They got $60 million.
They have space.
But I don't think that's a good spot for Sam Darnold, because
if you're talking about being competitive right now, which the Steelers are always competitive right now, that is how they play the game. That is the foundation of them. Who is a better fit for that team right now?
Well,
come on, it's Sam Darnold. Look, I know I'm higher on him than I am on Fields when it comes to you, but Fields is not a good quarterback. There's not a redeeming quality. With Sam Darnold, you can squint and get to redeeming.
Well, I think you're ignoring. Justin Fields did have some flashes. He's not a good quarterback either. No. I don't think Sam Darnold would work very well there, because George Pickens would eat him alive.
You're not wrong there.
I think that's why I don't think Darnold would be. Because Mike Tomlin does a great job with crazy. Mm-hmm. His track record is amazing with crazy.
It's probably the best.
Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell. No. I mean, James Harrison, totally different kind of crazy, but crazy.
They keep him around the organization because I think they like a little crazy.
Well, yeah. The George Pickens crazy can eat a quarterback. I mean, we saw it with Kenny Pickett.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that when that can go sideways, boy, it goes.
And that's kind of the knock on Darnold, is that's the kind of stuff that can be problematic. Yeah. Justin Jefferson's a little bit of crazy, but you didn't see any issues with that there.
Well, Justin Jefferson, I mean, he's just so confident in his. Do you see? He's like, I don't care who it is. You give me any quarterback, I'll make him look good, and he did.
I mean, proof in the pudding.
Just
and all
play
that.
500, dude. Just go out and do it. This is a really hard year for if you're a team looking for a quarterback, whether you're the Raiders, Steelers, Giants, because this is also a year we don't have the elite guy in the draft who is a slam dunk surefire. Cam Ward is the best quarterback in this draft. I don't think that is particularly close. And especially coming out of interviews, that teams really seem to feel that way even more. But you don't have the options either in the free agent market, which is never a good market if you're looking for a quarterback. You got to draft your quarterback. You have to have one that is yours. And Pittsburgh is always that team that thinks that they can do it with their guys. And now both Fields and Russell Wilson are their guys. They're going to let it roll, baby.
That's not a bet I want to get into.
No, I wouldn't either.
All right, coming up on our worst day on the web. I'm a child. Okay. I see wonderful headline. I can't resist. Coming out of New York,
Danny Manchild,
illicit spa owner named Soon Bang has been nabbed in a New York/New Jersey prostitution bust.
Oh, here we go.
We'll get to that and more coming up. First, here's the Big Kahuna, the Sports Center update.
You mind if I have some of your tasty beverage to wash this down?
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by Vulcan Design and Construction. Check out their award-winning outdoor living designs or schedule your free design consultation at vulcandc.com. First on The Fan, Blazers forward Toumani Camara named Western Conference Defensive Player of the Month for February. Camara, the only player in the league with 80-plus rebounds, 20-plus steals, and 10-plus blocks in the month of February. The Blazers have now won 5 of their last 6, and they are in Boston to face the Celtics tomorrow. ESPN Shams Charania reporting Mavericks guard Kyrie Irving suffered a torn ACL in last night's loss to the Kings and is out for the rest of the season. Magic guard Jalen Suggs, he's out for the rest of the season as well after having surgery today to remove a cartilage fragment from his left knee. Oregon men's hoops entering the final week of the regular season, hosting Indiana. 6 o'clock tip on FS1. Coverage right here on The Fan starts at 5:30 after an abbreviated primetime. The Ducks are 6.5-point favorites. Over in the NFL, ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Eagles and Saquon Barkley have agreed to a 2-year, $41.2 million extension that makes him the highest-paid running back in NFL history. Schefter also reporting the Cowboys and defensive tackle Osa Odigizua, the pride of David Douglas, have agreed to a 4-year, $80 million deal with $58 million guaranteed. ESPN's Rich Cimini reporting the Jets releasing wide receiver Devontae Adams. Adam Schefter reporting the team has also granted wide receiver Alan Lazard permission to seek a trade. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
It's The Fan on FM. Go to 99.5 FM HD2 and enjoy high def 1080 The Fan. It's time for today's worst day on the web. With Danny and Dusty on Odyssey and 1080 The Fan.
That sucks.
Look, I'm a 14-year-old boy at heart. I see incredible headline. I can't resist. A spa owner in New Jersey, and I'm not kidding, her legal name is Soon Bang, has been snagged in a prostitution bus in an interagency effort to crack down on human trafficking and sex work in the United States. I wish the radio medium sometimes had the ability to like transition the images I see on my screen to your brain. Because the ad for this reads, relax and re-energize. And to be blunt, it has a smoke show woman who works at the said club.
Okay.
It says, happy massage time.
Oh.
Clean, quiet, and comfortable.
Boy.
And the picture is exactly like you would
I wonder
think.
what tipped off the authorities.
It is a young, very attractive, very well-built Asian woman in what appears to be a silky dress with no undergarments, with a sexual pose, as it were. And that's usually a dead giveaway. They found large amounts of U.S. currency, which they said is indicative of prostitution, as opposed to, if you go to a massage parlor, a nail parlor, anything along those lines, they prefer you to tip in cash. Let's be honest. They just go ahead and
Advice time with Danny Meringue.
Well, no, heck, even like restaurant employees and such, they'd rather you tip in cash because you're not having to report that on your credit card tips at the end of the night.
Exactly.
That's what I'm talking about.
Look, Uncle Sam gets their fair share. Like, we all know what we all know the game.
Ooh, aren't they changing that?
What's
Are we
that?
changing that? Taxes on tips?
Yeah, there's it always goes back and
wish
forth.
in one hand and
we'll
guess what in the other.
Yeah, We'll see which ends up happening. But Soon Bang?
That's not.
Her American name was Cindy.
Oh, Cindy Bang. Okay, so
it's like the name of the Japanese twins in the Austin Powers movie that I shall not try to say today.
That's exactly what came to my mind. It's 100% what came to my mind. Twins. I love it when the universe comes together like this. I genuinely do.
You're on the right way for a spanked bottom, and I don't care who knows it.
Wow, that was good. Russ, that was a really good Austin Powers you just did there. Yeah, I'm not quite sure their advertising was the best for what they were actually it was really good for what they were trying to accomplish.
It was maybe too good.
But not discreet enough.
No, not it was. Look, I get it. You're in New York, New Jersey, and you're competing with other establishments. But the flyer that basically reads "We're a sex shop."
Yeah,
probably not your
dead giveaway.
Not your best idea.
That's the equivalent of this bag does definitely not have drugs in it.
Yeah.
Yes, and remember that woman got pulled over and arrested twice in the span of 2 weeks.
Yeah. There's definitely not drugs in this bag. Don't look in there.
And in that bag, it contained large amounts of methamphetamine.
We never saw it coming.
That's not the universe
Blindsided.
colliding. That's just rampant stupidity. Yeah. Soon Bang. That's
Yeah.
That's just the universe coming together and really just joining hands.
It joining something, but you're not wrong, my man. You are not wrong.
I love a great headline. This is going to be a little double dip just because these are both a little bit smaller. I saw this one pop up too because I was like, that can't be real, right? No, I actually tracked it down to an actual news source. The Citigroup Bank mistakenly credited a customer with $81 trillion instead of $280.
Saw that. This is not the first time Citibank has done this.
Yes, because
Seems like
the audits come up.
A bit of an oversight with the 81 trillion.
81 trillion is almost 3 times the size of the U.S. GDP, which is just under 30 trillion.
So is this like somebody typing it in and then just leaning on the zero on the keyboard? Like,
Maybe
how do you make that mistake?
Maybe hitting the tab button a little too fast, and you're trying to input the line above.
But I don't know how many you get that many zeros. I have no idea. And it's $280.
Yeah,
81 trillion. Yeah. That's not really even that close.
You type 280 and the 2 didn't hit, and the 8 and you hit the 1 on accident, and the 0 got stuck.
One thing I do know though is that it's not okay to go spend that money if you find out before the bank does.
Now, the bank did catch it, and the funds didn't actually leave because of a multitude of reasons. There's checks and balances in place that catch this stuff. But the currency that would be needed for that, it gets routed through the Federal Reserve when it's that high.
Oh, really? 81 trillion?
Yeah. You remember when the Washington Commanders were purchased by Josh Harris? Because the money originated from overseas, a $5 billion check had to be cleared through the Federal Reserve. When that amount of money / currency is changing hands in the United States, it gets routed through the Federal Reserve.
So there was a man who, his name is Stephen Fields.
Mm-hmm.
He went in a check of $31,000 was accidentally put into his bank account back in 2014. And he was 18.
Yeah.
He was young. He went and spent 20 grand like that.
Yeah.
He was charged with theft, and he was sentenced to 10 years probation, and he had to pay restitution on it.
I mean, the case of finders versus keepers is not holding up here.
Right? Come on.
Honestly, that feels like, look,
your mistake, and
I screw up and I overdraft.
Yeah.
I got to pay for it.
Yeah.
But you screw up and I punish you for it.
Yeah. See, what are we doing here?
Well, we got to protect the banks from their own stupidity.
I mean,
you're not protecting me from my own stupidity.
It's called credit cards.
Of which those can get out of control.
I think we have learned that with America. Well, actually, world. But what would you do if you found that much money? Well, 81 trillion is a little bit different.
That's a bit much. 30,000 versus 81 trillion.
Yeah, there was a few years ago. There was the couple in Louisiana that Chase Bank accidentally put $50 billion into their account, and they were doing the
I'm gonna hit that ATM so fast.
time to check our bank statement here, and look at that. $50 billion is in there.
And again,
seems a little bit different. Did you get a raise, honey?
We talked about this last week. Apparently we need to poll this. I think. How often do you check your banking apps?
Yeah.
I posed this question to my other work husband, Joe Simons, and I said, "How many times a day do you check your banking apps?" He paused and he goes, 4. He didn't hear us talk about it earlier in the day. And I was like,
he checks 4 times a day?
Yeah, he goes at least multiple times.
That's psycho behavior.
No,
that's psycho behavior.
I draw them to me. I am like I am a moth to the flame of the psychos.
Yeah.
I am at least once, probably twice. If I found a large sum of money, I wouldn't call Odyssey. I would probably call K2. I'm like, Odyssey's not going to give me that money. K2 might, though.
Nah, they ain't going to do that. They ain't going to do that, dude. That's a good call on your part.
You know what I mean? Like, I know where the bread's being buttered there as far as the size of corporation and who has more money in that vein. I'd call it in just because.
And coming up next week on Dusty and Rusty.
Look, man. Go look and see what stocks are trading at. It's we know where it stands.
Google tells me that once a week is on average.
On average?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm probably 3 times a week.
Actually, the AI was wrong, but 36% of Americans check their bank account daily.
So it is higher.
30% check it weekly. 18% check it less than once a month. So you're at 48% of people are less or a week or more.
So the people that don't, I think those are the two very far edges of the scale in that they have more money than God, or they know they have no money.
That
or
18%,
they don't want to scare themselves.
They don't want to. They're like, I know it's overdrawn.
I know I don't want to check that. I don't want to know that trip to McDonald's that I made last night was my grocery money.
Yeah, or a couple times a week.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, definitely not 4 times a day.
Yeah. Look, I'm a multiple time a day guy.
All right, we've got. Oh, okay, now I got the full breakdown here. 36% every day, 30% once a week. Once a month is 8%. Twice a month, 8%. Less than once a month, 18%. So there's your.
Yeah, those are probably them folks that are doing just fine.
Yeah, they are doing just fine. They are doing just fine.
According to this report, the Financial Times reported that there was 10 near misses by Citigroup alone of over $1 billion in 2024, which is actually down from 13 cases in 2023. In 2020, they accidentally sent $900 million to the creditors of a cosmetics company, Revlon, instead of a $7.8 million interest payment.
Yeah.
It took 2 years of legal action to recover most of the money. It led to the early retirement of then CEO Michael Corbat and a fine of $400 million from U.S. regulators over unsafe and unsound banking practices. Good
That's
Lord.
wild.
Good Lord.
Yeah, so, I mean, we put all of our faith in our banks to hold up.
And yet we get hit with $25 fees if we go $1 over.
Well, yeah, because they're putting billions of dollars into multiple people's bank accounts every year accidentally.
Unfreaking believable. All right, coming up next, are we about to see the next unbreakable record be attained? Coming up on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan. The longevity and greatness of LeBron James, I don't care where you stand on him. If you have Michael Jordan first of all time, whatever. What he is doing at this point in his career is something we have never seen done, and his longevity and productivity is going to put a number up that is going to be untouched. This is going to be an unbreakable record. This is up there with the Ted Williams hit streak. This is up there with Cal Ripken's consecutive games played. This is a number that's never going to be touched. LeBron James ended his game the other night against the Los Angeles Clippers with 49,999 points. The next game he goes into, the next point he scores, he will be the first player to break the 50,000-point barrier.
And look, what LeBron is doing at age 40, and they play tonight, by the way, he will score a point. They play the Pelicans. Have good feeling about that. But LeBron and what he's doing at 40 years old is absolutely bonkers because he was named Western Conference Player of the Month this past month, the oldest player ever to win Western Conference Player of the Month. The previous oldest player was Karl Malone at 37 years old. The longevity of LeBron is absolutely insane.
Do you know that this year he is averaging more points, rebounds, and assists, better field goal percentage, better three-point percentage, better efficiency across the board than his 2012-13 MVP season?
Did know that in Miami, where he was insane. And like nobody's talking about LeBron being an MVP this year. They are the second best team in the Western Conference if nobody's been watching.
Yes.
They are the 2 seed right now.
Despite being very flawed because he has been so incredibly good.
And he now, I was looking up the Player of the Month awards because it said he's the oldest to do it. I was looking at, there's only three times has a player 20 years old won the Player of the Month. He did it twice in his second year in the NBA. Dwight Howard is the only other player, and their birthdays are pretty close.
Yeah.
He might be the youngest and the oldest person to ever win the award.
He won his first one in November of 2004.
Yeah. What?
So was that his first full month as a rookie?
That's year 2.
Is that year 2?
Because he was rookie in 03.
Yeah.
Okay.
But again,
it was his second year in the league.
Winning like Rookie of the Month, yeah, of course. Like it was him and Carmelo were basically traded that back and forth throughout the season in the Eastern Conference. I'm sorry, in the Eastern Western Conference. The Player of the Month in the NBA, that's whether it's conference based or not, that is a very difficult thing to do as a young player. You just don't see that happen.
Yeah.
This is going to be a number, for those that are wondering, this is combined points, playoffs, and regular season. But as far as records go, LeBron James' current playoff points in his career, 8,162. Do you know who's number 2?
No.
It's very easy. It's Jordan.
Michael Jordan?
It's
Michael
Jordan.
Jeffrey Jordan?
At 5,987. LeBron James has 2,200 more points in the playoffs. In the regular season, LeBron James is number 1 all time, 41,837 currently. That is 3,500 more points than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's never going to be touched. It's never going to be touched. It's never, ever, 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 ever going to be touched.
Well, we say that now, but we also said that about Wayne Gretzky's goal record, and Ovi is 11 away from that.
Yes, and he will break that record, but he will come nowhere near the points record.
No, he nowhere near the points record.
Nobody ever will.
No.
What's the old stat? You can take away Gretzky's assists, and he'd still have the most or the second most points of all time, or something like along those lines. Or just take away his goals, and I think he has the most or second most points of all time.
So if you're looking at, and I went and I looked this up because my brain works weird. LeBron James won his first Player of the Month in November of 2004. So between December and February, you're looking at like how many people would be? Never mind, I didn't do that right. That came up birth weight. Never mind. How many people were born in that 2-month stretch in the United States? 3 months, December, January, February. You're looking at millions of people that are old enough to drink in the United States right now.
Since he won his first Player of the Month.
Since his first and his current Player of the Month. 21 years. 21 years it's been since he won his first Player of the Month. There's millions of Americans that can now drink that were not alive when LeBron James won his first one.
Well, I mean, we talked about this when
That's crazy.
When Shaden, Scoot, Donovan, those guys, they all, or I'm sorry, Shaden and Donovan turned 21.
Yeah,
just recently. They were not alive when LeBron James made a debut. And throw Scoot Henderson and Ryan Repair on that list as well.
That's crazy.
They were not alive, and they're playing against this guy that gave them 40. This will never happen again for one very particular reason beyond the fact that LeBron James is the most physically dominant longevity athlete in the history of sports.
Mm-hmm.
He came into the NBA straight out of high school. It's not going to happen again.
No. You don't think they're going to get rid of the one and done rule eventually?
Nope. The NBA loves it and college basketball loves it.
Yeah.
And with NIL now, it's never going away.
I think they should get rid of it with NIL because fewer guys are going to do it anyways.
How long?
Right? Have the guys that are ready just be able to go.
The once in a millennium athlete.
Yeah,
because that's what LeBron was. There's a difference between him and Travis Outlaw or Martell Webster.
Because if you were,
who was the big tall
Sebastian Telfair and Martell Webster were two guys that they went because they were like, well, I can get money.
Mm-hmm.
Now you can get money and go to college without blocking the high school kid to go.
Sure.
Right? And I think one thing that we're overlooking, LeBron was held back a year. That's not the case anymore with the elite athletes. They are skipping grades in order to get there early.
Reclass. Remember, he turned 18 in December.
Yeah.
Jeremiah Fears, the point guard at Oklahoma, who's also probably very likely going to be a lottery pick this year. He's another guy that reclassed. In basketball, I think you see it significantly more frequently because of the physicality. It's a little bit different, but you're seeing it more in football. I asked you about this yesterday because I saw a cornerback reclass from 27 to 26, and I went, that's weird.
Get that money sooner.
But those guys they can't go to the NFL.
It used to be
it's a little bit different.
Bigger, stronger, faster. Mm-hmm. Now it is you could get to that second payday, which is, I mean, both of them are pretty dumb because what you're doing is you're saying, yeah, we're going to defy genetics with the bigger, stronger, faster. Like, oh yeah, hold you back a year. You'll grow more. Do you?
Yeah.
You usually cap out at a certain level.
I will say in my graduating class, I think we had 4 guys that were held back.
Yeah, I was.
And they were all athletes. Yeah.
I was. I didn't grow anymore.
I mean,
still small.
I was on the other side of that spectrum. I came into high school at 12 years old. I turned 13 my freshman year.
That is so dumb.
Yeah. I was very young. I was very young going to high school. I was a 5'2", 110-pound 13-year-old my freshman year.
Gosh.
Yeah. Other side of that scale, not physically ready to
wait,
be up there.
How is that possible? I was 15 in 8th grade. I got my permit at the end of 8th grade.
You're kidding me.
Yeah.
I was a baby in the class.
12?
No,
I was 12.
I was 13. I was 13. I turned 14 my freshman year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't turn 18 until like a couple of weeks before I left for college. I was a baby of the class. I was an August baby.
I was the youngest person in my class.
That was the benefit of being held back.
You got the car early?
Car early. First person to buy beer in college. Well, that was also my fake ID, but
I only trusted mine to the Capital Market on 12th and State in
There you
Salem.
mine never got taken away.
Mine did. Moose McGillicuddy's in San Diego.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They were able to sniff that out, huh?
Yeah, he held it there for a second and then, chatting with me. And then by that time he had the book out and he goes, see, the problem is your ID here looks nothing like this picture in this book of driver's licenses. And I was like, well, that's weird.
Yeah. I'll be dang. Well, I'll just take that back and I'll take this to my DMV and I'll rectify this situation, sir.
Yeah. And he goes, I hope you didn't pay too much money for this piece of crap.
It's a tough place to be. It's a tough place to be.
Mr. Sledgehammer.
McLovin. Goodness gracious. All right, coming up in hour number 3, we're going to revisit the Portland Trailblazers. They get another win against the Philadelphia 76ers, or another win on the road, I should say. This time against the Philadelphia 76ers, guaranteeing at least a successful 4-win road trip out of 7 games. What do you want to see down the final 20 games, as well as the prestige zone has circled the Portland Trailblazers, at least for one player? Danny Dusty, 1080 The Fan.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Jeff Rust with your Sports Center update. First on the Fan, Blazers forward Toumani Camara has been named Western Conference Defensive Player of the Month. Camara, the only player in the league with 80-plus rebounds, 20-plus steals, and 10-plus blocks in the month of February. The Blazers have won 5 of their last 6. They are in Boston to face the Celtics tomorrow night. ESPN's Shams Charania reporting Mavericks guard Kyrie Irving suffered a torn ACL in last night's loss to the Kings and is out for the rest of the season. Shams also reporting Anthony Davis and his reps are discussing shutting him down for the rest of the season. Oregon men's hoops entering the final week of the regular season, hosting Indiana. 6 o'clock tip on FS1. Coverage right here on the Fan starts at 5:30 after a truncated primetime. The Ducks are 6.5-point favorites. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Eagles and Saquon Barkley have agreed to a 2-year, $41.2 million extension that makes him the highest paid running back in NFL history. $36 million guaranteed, and Barkley can earn $15 million more in incentives and escalators. Schefter also reporting the Cowboys and defensive tackle Osa Odighizuwa, the pride of David Douglas High School, they've agreed to a 4-year, $80 million deal with $58 million guaranteed, and multiple reports say the Vikings will not place the franchise tag on quarterback Sam Darnold, but they are having discussions on a short-term deal to keep him in Minneapolis. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The ultimate basketball party, Fan Madness, is back. March 20th and 21st at the Stadium Sports Bar at A&A Sportsbook. More info at 1080thefan.com. Danny Meringue.
Dusty Bun?
Dusty Hera.
I've been really busy trying to save the world from Russians and monsters.
This is Danny and Dusty on the Odyssey app and Portland's sports leader.
Of course you have.
1080.
I want to hear it.
The Fan.
Hour number 3 here on a Danny and Dusty Tuesday afternoon. We're listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080am The Fan or twitch.tv/1080am The Fan. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us on this wonderful, wonderful Tuesday. The Portland Trailblazers get another win, this time in the city of brotherly love, as the woeful 76ers get raffle stomped in the second half, scoring 41 total points in the second half as the Blazers score 35 in the third quarter alone. They add another injury.
Did you just say they got waffle stomped?
Raffle.
Oh.
RFL. Waffle stomp is probably good, too. You get a little waffle print. Going back to the old waffle print Nikes.
Yeah, those are different. What I'm thinking of.
Yeah, no, I know what you're going with. I'm trying to be nice, but
I'm confused.
Beyond that, the Portland Trailblazers guaranteed a winning road trip on a 7-game trip. It is 4 wins on a 7-game trip. They're now 4-1 on this trip with Boston.
Oh, really?
And Oklahoma City remaining.
Okay.
Coming out of this game, Anthony Simons goes nuclear in the third quarter. It's nothing we haven't seen before. I've said it before, and I know I'll get tagged as the ant propaganda guy. I don't care. There's maybe 3 guys in the entire NBA that when they get hot, shoot better than him. When he gets in a groove, it's disgusting. And it's the kind of thing that can swing a game on a nightly basis. And it's fun to watch. But we've seen that happen before.
Only 3 in the entire NBA?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Dame, Steph, and Clay. From 3 in particular?
Not Trey?
Huh?
Not Trey?
No.
Oh.
And he's the data backs it up. As far as guys who make 5 or more threes in a game. Did you know he passed CJ McCollum for most games of 5 or more made threes in Trailblazers history last night?
No, I didn't.
It's kind of insane when you think about it. Like, CJ was an incredible shooter.
Yeah.
And Ant has had nowhere near that level of opportunity. And it's like, oh, damn, really? It's because when he gets hot, he gets damn hot. Now, when he's off, he's had some absolute
stinkers.
Oh, I mean, that 0 for 10 night in Minnesota is going to stand out for a long time. But it's neither here nor there. The performance that I'm looking at from yesterday afternoon, last night's game, was Shaedon Sharpe, who continues to string together games of productivity. And he keeps saying all the right things in the post-game press conference. Not talking about how many minutes he's played or not played. It's about what he's learning, what he's understanding, the soft skill nature of the growth of his game. And he's like, you know what? I'm trying to be more aggressive on the glass. And it's feeding, not even on the offensive glass, the defensive glass. And something that's been popping up a lot is, look, you can be a good rebounder in the NBA by grabbing the non-contested ones. Josh Hart is unbelievable at this. The 50-50 balls, it's not a 50-50 ball with Josh Hart on the floor. Number one, he's a savant rebounder, but it's also like it's knowing kind of where the ball is going to be. He has the Dennis Rodman, computer brain of where the ball is going to be, but it's an effort thing. And it's using his athleticism, it's using his strength to box out guys and go get that ball. Shaedon is a 0.1% NBA athlete. We all know that. He has got 4 of the 5 highest dunks on the season this year. When I see him go up and out-rebound Andre Drummond, who statistically is the greatest defensive rebounder in the history of the NBA, when you talk about percentage, when he's on the floor, it is almost 26% of defensive rebounds that he grabs.
I don't know how I would have known that, Danny.
That's disgusting. He is
Yeah.
He is an insane rebounder. And when you're beating that guy to the apex,
Yeah.
who is 6'11", 285 pounds,
A big dude.
he seals you off. He knows how to like tip it to his spot. And Shaedon goes, you know what? No, I'm going to go grab that. I'm going to go use my otherworldly athleticism and go grab that ball. That's how you get more than just the scoring at him. Because this season, the first 4 months of the season, you just didn't see him impact games outside of scoring. Every now and then he'd have a couple assists. Every now and then he'd flash a pass. But it's the activity on both ends of the floor. And I'm not asking the guy to be the biggest stopper defensively. Just don't get cooked and don't get lost. The thing about him that stands out is when he's locked in and giving that effort and intensity, it just translates directly to every part of the game.
Well, it's almost as if basketball is a team game, and we're starting to see Scoot Henderson, Shaedon Sharpe, they're understanding that. But consistency is going to be the big one, and that is going to be what makes them turn the corner as a whole. And what we've seen now, the longest stretch of consistent play from Scoot Henderson, and last night was not a great scoring night from him, but it was consistent basketball. From Shaedon Sharpe, this is like a 4-game run of the best consistent basketball we've seen of Shaedon Sharpe. And that's not to say everybody just looks at scoring. No, it's everything that you're talking about with whether it's rebounding or when you don't make a shot, how do you react on the other end of the floor? We've seen that for 4 straight games. What does it look like in the final 20, though?
Yes.
And that's going to be indicative
stretch
of what they have moving forward. And you talked about this yesterday. That may not even be what it holds in their future in Portland, but what the value is for another team that watches these last 20 games and says, all right, value goes up. Blazers can be more active in finding a final piece to go with whomever they deem the guys that are the future of the organization.
And as it pertains to Shaedon Sharpe, look, Andrew Wiggins has been a good player. He's been a title winner and an all-star. But what have you always heard about Andrew Wiggins? He's a top-level athlete who doesn't contribute outside of the intangible defense stuff, which really didn't get unlocked until Golden State. And he doesn't impact the game in any other way. He doesn't rebound. He doesn't create for others. He doesn't do all of the other stuff. And Shaedon Sharpe, prior to the past month, was heading down the path of guard Andrew Wiggins. Didn't impact the game outside of scoring. And don't get me wrong, the name of the game is putting ball in hoop.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to find ways to impact games on nights that you don't have it. We've seen it from Anthony Simons this year. He's rebounding the ball. He's getting steals. He took a freaking charge the other day. I can't remember the last time I saw Anthony Simons take a charge. He's done it twice on this road trip. Both times he's gotten up, looked at the bench, and smiled. Like, yeah, I'm doing this too. I'm 195 pounds. I'm the smallest guy on the court. I'm doing it too. And they're enjoying it, and they're coming together on it, and you can see it just kind of flow throughout the team. And you said it in hour number 1. Scoot Henderson, on nights when the shooting isn't there, he has found ways to impact the game, whether it's getting deflections, whether it's jumping out and getting steals, and whether it's being aggressive, hitting the glass, hitting the offensive glass, making the extra pass. Even when he makes mistakes, you can see it like, I gotta get this back. I got to find a way to I'm not hitting shots. I got to find a way to contribute, whatever it is. And if you've got a team full of guys who do whatever it is on a given night, that's how you can go on the streaks they've gone on and not rely on Ant and Jeremy and DA because their consistency levels are higher to bail you out every single game.
Yeah, there's been that common thread, whether it's the 10 of 12 that they won before the All-Star break or coming out of it, where they were sluggish, but the last 2 games have probably been 2 of the best basketball games they've played back-to-back
all season.
And it's reassuring, but you know, the proof is going to be in the pudding with how long it can go and where it goes from here, because that's the great unknown with this Trailblazers team. It's good to see, though, and it goes to Chauncey Billups has gotten through. Yeah. He has gotten through to them. To what degree? Who knows long term, because as we talked about yesterday, he's probably not going to be the coach here next year. And that's going to be another big one is, all right, is the same effort and level of play and being mentally engaged, is that going to be there with whoever the next coach is going to be? or if they're even here.
Well, one guy I think you're going to be certain of is going to carry that torch regardless of who the coach is Toumani Camara. He is now getting national attention. He has entered the prestige zone. What is the ceiling for Toumani Camara for the rest of this season and maybe even going forward? Danny Dusty, The Fan. It's official. Toumani Camara has entered the prestige zone. Today, the NBA announced that Toumani Camara has been named the Western Conference Defensive Player of the Month alongside Eastern Conference winner Evan Mobley. If you've been tracking along the betting markets, Evan Mobley is currently the betting favorite to win the Defensive Player of the Year. When you are on a team that is under 500 and you get this kind of recognition, you have officially made it into the zeitgeist, what people talk about nationally. The national media members and the people and the assistant coaches and everybody who votes on these things, this is how you get in the conversation. And the analytics support that is being driven by Blazers broadcast support staff and on-air personality, Tom Haberstroh, is out there. He has a chart that is out right now that shows that Toumani Camara is currently second in the NBA in defensive stops. In defensive stops quantifies as offensive fouls drawn, charges, blocks recovered, and steals. The only player ahead of him is Dyson Daniels at 197. Dyson Daniels might set he's going to set a record for deflections, but he also has the potential to set a record for steals in a game, or for steals per game. Dyson Daniels has been a revelation, and he should absolutely be in consideration. The difference between Dyson Daniels and Toumani Camara is Dyson Daniels is a defensive playmaker, a juiced up Matisse Thybulle, where he is a theft machine and he's a guarder of guards. Toumani Camara, is, we talked about this the other day, can guard quite literally 1 through 5. 1 through 4 incredibly well.
Yeah.
But if he gets a turn on Nikola Jokic, as he did against the Denver Nuggets, where he spent 80% of his time in that game guarding the best offensive player on the planet, that's how you know that dude is stamped and is real. And I think it's no longer a question of Toumani Camara making an all-defensive team. It's which all-defensive team he makes.
There's 7 guys that have won Defensive Player of the Month this year. I mean, just to kind of put that into perspective, Mobley has won it twice. And then you add Victor Wembanyama, Dyson Daniels, Jaren Jackson, Amen Thompson, Andrew Nembhard, and then Toumani Camara to that list. I mean, and you look at the Western Conference guys, it's been Wemby, Jaren Jackson Jr., Amen Thompson. Mm-hmm. Like, those have been the other guys. All of those guys are, one, either on playoff teams or Victor Wembanyama.
Yes, and just as a note here, Wemby is third on this list, and he's been shut down for 2 weeks now of the defensive stops.
The defensive stops. Yeah, he's pretty good.
By the way, Toumani Camara leads the league in 2 categories there. Offensive fouls drawn and charges drawn. He has a very specific skill set, and like where Dyson Daniels excels in steals, Victor Wembanyama excels in blocks, Toumani Camara has a very real, he's a gifted flopper, but not in the sense of like a James Harden or a Austin Reeves, as we've seen on offense.
Go to the LeBron play when they played the Lakers the last time.
He took it right. He baits them. He baits guys. Again, you could even call him a master baiter, if you will. He will set a guy up, and I've talked to him specifically about this. It happened early on in the season when they played the New Orleans Pelicans, and he set up Zion the exact same way he set up LeBron. He got pummeled in the chest by Zion, and Zion is not when he puts his shoulder down. There's no way you don't feel that. But 2 gave a ton of resistance on the first 2 bumps. Zion gave him the third, and he went to the rim and scored. And so 2 knew the next time coming down the floor, he explained this like, he goes, when he scored, I knew coming down the floor, he'd have a little bit of confidence that he was able to push me out of the way. And Zion's 280 pounds.
Yep.
Look, 2's 235 pounds, and he is strong. But Zion, Luka, LeBron, those guys have a different level of strength and size. 2 told me, he goes, when he gave me the first bump, I gave him the same resistance. When he gave me the second bump, I gave him almost the same resistance, so he felt like I could get that third one. As soon as that third bump hit, he took it, but he didn't take it square in the sternum. He took the initial part of it and then went to the ground. Boop!
Going the other way.
And he got up and smiled. Like, gotcha. He knows how, which is insane, that in year 2, and yes, he's an older second-year player, but the fact that he has learned the dark arts of how to set that up this quickly is incredibly impressive.
I just like the way he plays basketball. Like, Toumani Camara is, even last year, he was so fun to watch because that's the end of the floor that he knew was going to be how he made it in the NBA. And to watch everything else just kind of come together this year with the confidence and his ability to score. He's not a polished scorer. He will never be a guy who's going to be a volume scorer, but he can give you some buckets, and his imprint will all be on the defensive end of the floor. I love watching him. You can see exactly why he wears 33. He wears the armband. It is Scottie Pippen-esque what he does on the defensive end of the floor.
He is an elite defender, and
it's fun.
I want to give you a couple quotes from some of the best offensive players in the league. This is from one Damian Lillard, and I'll back this up a step further. I've talked to Dame multiple times about Toumani specifically, and he's gone in depth on this. And this is from Dame. In my personal opinion, when I look around the league and I'm guarded by all the top perimeter defenders, and if you look at on a given night, that's what Dame sees in front of him. They aren't hiding guys on him. They haven't hit anybody on him in 14 years. He goes, I think that he's right there at the top. He's competitive. He has the size and length and energy to do it. He takes pride in it. He's constantly going. He's not going to go away. He's there the whole time. Trey Murphy III, who has been a revelation for the Pelicans and might be their best offensive player going forward. He has some real all-star juice to him. Toumani Camara, he's an elite defender. I don't think people really know, and I don't think people paid attention to how good he is. And then Tyrese Maxey to Jason Quick, when he wrote his article on how Toumani is looked at around the league. The ball would go through the net, and he would try to deny me and pick me up the whole game. Someone who's with that size and who can pick up full court and is that relentless, kudos to him, man. And I have talked to multiple other all-star scoring leaders in the NBA about Toumani over the last 18 months. Every single one I have talked to have had some version of, that dude is a bleepity bleep. And they say it with the most effusive praise. Like, he has had the respect of his peers since he came in the league.
Yep.
He is now getting the beat writer support, the national media support, and the NBA at large. Like, watch how teams scheme away from Toumani Camara. How many picks they run Toumani. Toumani doesn't really pick up 80 feet all that often anymore. He'll still do it.
Yeah.
He usually picks up at about 50, 60 feet. They will run at least 2, sometimes 3 picks to try to get him off their primary ball handler, just so they can get into their offense, because he's such a game wrecker.
I like him. And I also appreciate Tom Haberstroh going out and doing the legwork to make sure people are aware.
Yes, this is how this stuff works.
He's fun, man.
You remember the Marcus Smart Defensive Player of the Year. That was a full court press put on by the Boston Celtics. In a year that Robert Williams III, his teammate, should have won Defensive Player of the Year. Still a weird thing that they did that, but it is what it is. All right, coming up next, the Philadelphia Eagles have given Saquon Barkley all of the monies. What does that do to the running back market, the NFL world at large, or does it do anything at all? We'll get to that and more, but first, here's the Big Kahuna Sports Center update.
You ever had a Big Kahuna burger?
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Mixed plates like Grandma used to make. If your grandma were from the Big Island, Woodstock, Burnside, Beaverton, or online at ate-oh-ate.com. First on the Fan, Blazers forward Toumani Camara, indeed named Western Conference Defensive Player of the Month. The only player in the league with 80-plus boards, 20-plus steals, and 10-plus blocks in the month of February. The Blazers have won 5 of their last 6. They face the Celtics in Boston tomorrow. DeAndre Ayton, Robert Williams III, Matisse Thybulle, all out. Jeremy Grant upgraded to questionable with right knee tendonitis. ESPN's Shams Charania reporting Mavericks guard Kyrie Irving suffered a torn ACL in last night's loss to the Kings and is out for the rest of the season. Shams also saying Anthony Davis and his reps discussing shutting him down for the rest of the season. Oregon men's hoops entering the final week of the Big Ten regular season, hosting Indiana. 6 o'clock tip on FS1. Coverage right here on the Fan starts at 5:30. After an abbreviated primetime, the Ducks are 6.5-point favorites. Over in the NFL, ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting the Eagles and Saquon Barkley have agreed to a 2-year, $41.2 million extension that makes him the highest paid running back in NFL history. $36 million guaranteed and another $15 million more in incentives and escalators. And Schefter also reporting that Cowboys and defensive tackle Osa Odighizuwa, the pride of David Douglas High School, have agreed to a 4-year, $80 million deal with $58 million guaranteed. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Jeff Rust at the Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Jump back to earlier parts of your favorite fan shows on the Odyssey app. The only way to rewind Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Saquon Barkley told the New York Giants, show me the money. And then he saw a dysfunctional bleep show and said, get me out of here, somebody. And went to their quasi-crosstown rival in Philadelphia. Had one of the most productive seasons a running back has ever had in the history of the league. Took them to a Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, and now he is getting paid.
Get that money, Mike.
The highest average annual value contract ever handed out to a running back is now Saquon Barkley's, and he earned every last penny of it.
Yeah, 2 years, $41.2 million. That'd be $20.5 million per year. So he's getting that money, man. And look, his value to the Eagles was incalculable because of it was always the threat of Saquon Barkley too. Think of the big runs that he had. I mean, it was like he would rattle off a 50-yarder, a 60-yarder.
They needed one.
And you would just go, yep, this game has flipped on its head. It is over. And when you have a quarterback that has the limitations that Jalen Hurts has, which I am much higher on Jalen Hurts, and I think a lot of people are because all the dude does is win, and he is not Patrick Mahomes, he's not Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. He's just a winner, and he's a gamer, and I love him. But when you know that you cannot rely on Jalen Hurts to sit back and pick defenses apart, you got to have a dude, and they got their dude. This is a horrible day if you're a Giants fan. I know P1 Jordan is listening. I'm sorry, man. But the fact that Saquon Barkley went just across the street and goes to Philly and has the season that he had, caps it with the Super Bowl, and now gets the money that he wanted from New York, and he gets it from Philly after winning a Super Bowl and with a loaded roster moving forward, it hurts. It stings. But the crazy part about what Saquon can do for Philly in opening up A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith is the fact that Howie Roseman has done it again. Drafting well, getting your books right and keeping them right, not over-investing in positions that you know you have some flaws at. It's been brilliant what Philadelphia has been able to do. And look, part of it is they have a bunch of guys that have an awareness of what they have as a team and what they can do moving forward. And
which you don't see in the rest of the division,
man.
because CeeDee Lamb has agreed to restructure his contract with the Dallas Cowboys, and he's tweeted out, "It can't just be about me. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Dak, restructure your freaking deal, dude."
Yeah, well, when you have him sign it this past year, look, it's $44 million against cap this year. You're probably going to have to eat that because next year it's $90 million. It's $89 million in change.
And meanwhile, the Eagles are, as of right now, would you say it was $46 million in cap space that they had going into next year?
Yeah.
I can tell you right now, without looking, the Cowboys are nowhere near that.
I can look that up for you right now.
Just with a $90 million cap hit alone, they can't be anywhere near that.
Scrolling. Yeah, the Eagles are at 46. The Cowboys are at 66. But that's with only 34 guys signed to the roster.
7 less guys.
Yeah. Eagles will have 41, and they've got 46 million on the books.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's not a lot of guys.
No. Particularly when your quarterback is taking up 90 million of it.
Yeah.
And Zach Martin is retired.
Not great, Bob.
You lost the Zach Martin cap hit, but you lost Zach Martin.
Yeah, but look, he was aging and injured, and
certainly
they've got bigger fish to fry.
The idea of Zach Martin.
They have a bigger issue in that the cap number for their quarterback, who's not worthy of a cap number that high.
Is he worth half that?
Yeah.
Is that the line though? 45?
Yeah. That's probably it.
But that's the difference between franchises who are getting it done and franchises who aren't.
Well, and the big part with the CeeDee Lamb restructuring is big for them because not just the money that it opens up $20 million this year, it adds $5 million for each year moving down the road. Dude, that is a $41 million hit against the cap in 2027.
Mm-hmm.
And CeeDee Lamb's going to be okay with that because when we talk about restructuring your deal, all it is moving money into a signing bonus, and it's money in pocket right now. They're going to be okay with doing that. So, having CD do that, huge. You just have to have an owner who has the money, and that's usually a big hang up in it. Like what's going to be interesting is what Cincinnati does with Joe Burrow in restructuring his deal.
Yes.
How Jerry Jones does that with Dak Prescott and to what extent he does it next year when he has a $90 million number, and how low can you get that number, and how much money are you going to have to do, and then what does it do to his cap hit moving forward? Because what it does is it just kicks the can down the road.
Which we've rehashed so many times. This is why you don't give Dak Prescott that deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the NFL needed that PR, remember?
Yes.
It was a big PR.
Pick up the phone. Roger went, "Hey, Jerry, we need you to do something."
But you have Oso Digizua, pride of David Douglas, shout outs. He gets by the way, fact about Oso Digizua, his wrestling record, his junior and senior years at David Douglas, I don't know why this sticks out to me. He went 91-0.
David Douglas, storied wrestling program over the years.
91-0 his final
They've had
2
some
years.
dudes out of that school.
He was a 3-time wrestling state champ.
If I remember right, that's where Couture coached at?
No idea. But he got a big payday, 4 years, $80 million. He's going to stay in Dallas. And a lot of that is thanks to CeeDee Lamb, his restructure. And now what can you do moving forward if you're the Cowboys? Because you got to keep up with not just Philly, you've got to keep up with Washington and what they're doing too, because Washington is far from done. They pick up Deebo Samuel. They still got money to spend. They've been lights out in their draft and their evaluation process too. That's the biggest thing. Philly knocks it out of the park in the draft. Kansas City knocks it out of the park in the draft. Detroit knocks it out of the park in the draft. You have got to be good at the end of April if you are going to if you're going to be successful. And right now you're seeing Washington is on the jump start of getting that done too. And Dallas, you're playing catch up. The only good thing you have is that the Giants are lifeless.
It's I'm sorry, Giants fans.
I am too.
I'm sorry, Cowboys fans. You have two teams that are running your division, and you have no hope.
Yeah, well, there will be hope. They'll find a way to They'll find a way to get some hope. I don't know if Giants fans will.
I don't know if
Cowboys fans always do.
Well, it's false hope.
Boys are always back, baby. No, you're not.
No, you're not. You haven't been back for 30 years.
Hey, but you got Oso Odigizua.
Hey, there you go. Coming next,
fun name to say and a good football player.
We'll put a little bow on today's show with another move in the NFL that's going to have an impact. As Devontae Adams is now looking for a new home. Get to that and more as we wrap up today's show here on Danny and Dusty, 1080 The Fan. Danny Marang here. Let me ask you something. Does your bathroom The experiment is officially over in New York as the Jets have let go of both Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams now.
Oh, no. What are they going to do?
Well, figure out a quarterback and another wide receiver.
Oh, and they told Alan Lazard, too, that he can find his way out of town if he can find a partner.
I mean, it's not surprising. It's going to double their cap space. It's going to clear $29 million off the deck this year, but it is going to force the Jets to eat $8 million in guaranteed money for Davante Adams. Look, Davante Adams is not what he was 2-3 years ago. He can help a team.
Yeah, the problem with Davante Adams is Davante Adams' biggest fan.
Yes. Well, I mean, he has wide receiver syndrome.
But watching the receivers show on Netflix, that was something, because all of those high-end receivers, they have that diva in them, right?
Yes, you have to.
But he also, I was like, oh, I really like Davante Adams. And I was like, what is wrong with him? Because he was very into what's good for Davante Adams.
I also think he's reaching that point of his career where he's fighting father time. And you see this happen, not just with wide receivers, but you see this around the NFL.
Yeah.
The lack of willingness to accept that you are starting to fade.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook is maybe the most perfect example of this, who up until playing with Nikola Jokic could not swallow his pride.
Yeah.
And refused to change. It took Carmelo Anthony, getting sent to the Blazers and being guaranteed 15 shots a night until it was because the whole Carmelo Anthony got blackballed thing, I hate it every time it comes up. He had at least 4 different offers from teams to come off the bench, but he couldn't swallow his pride and come off the bench. He starts in Portland and then he goes to the Lakers and he comes off the bench. It's a thing that, because Davante Adams is an all-time great. He is a phenomenal wide receiver.
He's a really good wide receiver.
His career numbers are incredible. He's probably not a Hall of Famer, but he's pretty damn close.
Oh, Davante Adams?
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's the era of wide receiver, and I think you're going to get some compression on that. I think he's on the outside looking in.
I think he might be.
You think he might? But again, I think with the NFL Hall of Fame, it's one of those things where you know it when you know it, and I think Davante's right on the edge of that.
Yeah.
But again, the fact that you're saying that and it's not no, he's not, lets you know just how truly great he is.
Yeah.
And when you're at that level,
I mean, he's active. He's a Hall of Famer. 11,884
Oh,
yards.
He did crack 10,000. You're right. There you go. Yeah, no, he's there.
He's going to finish over 12,000 yards in his career. Yeah, he will be a Hall of Famer.
There you go.
I mean, the only guys that he's behind right now are Julio Jones, DeAndre Hopkins, Mike Evans, Travis Kelce.
And they're all in the Hall of Fame.
He is ahead of Keenan Allen, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs.
God, Tyreek Hill really has piled
and
up
Amari
yards.
Cooper.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he's a Hall of
Famer.
Yeah,
you're right.
He's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, you crack 10,000 yards. That's usually a pretty good yardstick.
Yeah, Brandon Cooks is creeping up on 10,000. He's got 9,532 yards.
Wow. Because you think about it, on average, it basically means you need to have 10,000 yard seasons. Which we've kind of, I think we gloss over 1,000-yard season like it's nothing now. Yeah. Khalil Shakir, who's a very good wide receiver and led the Bills in receiving last year, I think he finished the season with 874 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good wide receiver, man.
It's really good.
But he didn't crack 1,000 yards. And I think because we've had this era of wide receivers with how effective quarterback play was over the last decade, you had some wide receivers with some pretty juiced numbers.
Well, to be fair, they're over a 17-game schedule and you're at 800 and some yards. That's 50-ish yards a game.
Which is good. It is. As crazy as that is, that the elite of the elites are the guys that the Davantes, the Jeffersons, the Mike Evans, those are the guys that put up 80+ yards a game.
Yeah. So where Davante Adams is right now, he's 33rd all time in receiving yards. Mm-hmm. If he gets another 500 yards, mm-hmm. that'll put him 20.
Oh, so he's top 30 all time.
He'll be 25th.
Oh God! So there's that much compression between 33 and 26.
Yeah.
Okay.
He'll pass Antonio Brown,
who was crazy, but by God was he good.
He was really good. If he gets another 1,000 yards, then he'll be 22nd all time. So
that's where it starts to tighten up. I bet it's that top 20.
Yeah. Damn. Really good.
Again,
I think if you get 25, if he's in the top 25 all time, if he's in the top 25 all time,
surefire.
Surefire.
If you look, the betting odds are him going where Aaron goes. Do you think he goes to a non-Aaron Rodgers team?
He'll go where the money is.
Okay.
That's where I think he goes.
Lindsey Thierry brought up the Chargers as a potentially good spot for him.
Yeah.
That would be a great spot
for him.
That would be a great spot. I mean, and look, if he wants to win, he'll go to a place like the Chargers.
Yeah, that's a great landing spot. I love it.
All right, that does it for us on this Tuesday. We'll be back on a Wednesday edition. We'll have Factor Fluke, and we'll be talking about LeBron scoring like 50,000 points or something.
Probably.
Yeah. All
right. One game, I feel like that's a record.
Yeah. It would be. And maybe, I don't know, LeBron James plus 340 on first point scored tonight. DraftKings, that might talk about that.
There you go.
If he's the first person to score, of course. All right, up next, you got 2.5 hours of power from their mouths to your ears. It's primetime with Isaac and Souk before Duck basketball at 5:30. Have a great Tuesday, everybody.
Bye.
Well, you know my name is Simon, and I like to do drawings.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house.